What's up, y'all? Another episode of Dogging It. What's up, Melina?
What's up, buddy? Been a fun day. We've been off for a little bit, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, it is good to be back, and we're coming back with a vengeance. We're coming back strong. Okay,
We're
we got
pissing
a.
some people off is what we're doing, which
You
I'm
think
used to.
so?
I know so. I'm used to doing it. I don't know if you're used to doing it. Nevertheless, we're team dogging it over here. It's not just me getting my ass chewed out like it normally is.
Oh
So
boy, we are dogging it too. So do us a favor, guys. Let us know if you can hear us and see us. Okay, we just want to make sure because we're gonna have a fun show. I think we're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff.
yeah,
Pretty busy pool time too. So we're probably going to do another show and talk about the events from this weekend. Kelly Fisher, Billy Thorpe, Niels Fyan with some big wins. Um,
making moves.
yeah, you're starting to see the money list for the Mosconi Cup. Billy's in the top three now. So interesting things like that we'll talk about. But yeah, so today we had this idea, and actually, when did I have the idea, Mike?
It was a
Yesterday,
few
wasn't it?
few days back. Yeah,
No,
a
I
few
think
days
I
back.
woke up yesterday morning and I said, "Hey, I just have a flash of brilliance."
Oh, don't give me
Actually,
that shit. It wasn't a flash of brilliance. It was I heard this on another podcast and this was a pretty good idea. Or actually it was
it was a
some
radio
kind of
station and they
radio.
were
That's what it
basically
was.
having brackets of like the best songs. And so one song would go up against another song. And I was like, "Why don't we have some fun and do this with pool?" There's so
Yeah.
many cool things we could do it for. And the thing that kind of stuck in my mind was brands, right? There's all these brands in pool
Right.
and so many of them do so many cool things, and I thought, let's just put them all together and make a 60. First, I thought, let's make a 16 team bracket, right, of different brands. And then I started writing them down and I'm like, okay, I think we got to do 32. And before you know it, we have 68. We got a full like
And we're still
NCAA.
shorting people.
Yeah. And we're still shorting people. People are getting on our case. And I'm like, hey, look, we always
Yeah.
have an out here because we call it dogging it. So if we dogged it, we dogged it. But yeah. So what do you say we go through the brackets here, Mike, and kind of show it to some folks and share our screen?
Yeah, without a doubt. This was actually we. So what happened is we got together and we started just. Joey came up with the bare bones of it. Hey, I got to get some brands that we're going to list. Then it was okay. Now we're going to start seeding them as far as like importance in the industry and what kind of moves that they're making, maybe upside, just in general, just our overall impression of them. And then the list started shifting from there.
Yeah, yeah. So we had to come up with four play-in games, and so here we're in the South region, and we have two play-in uh, brands. We have Dynaspheres and Off the Rail Apparel. Jamie from Off the Rail. We've kind of interacted with him quite a bit in the past, and Dynaspheres, and so they're going at it for the shot to play the number one seed, Predator. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Melina? Have you checked on the voting yet?
Uh, no. Well, actually, I actually had the settings where I can't see exactly who's in the lead, but I can see how many votes have been done. So I think we got a little bit less than an hour, or a little bit over an hour, left to go before it's rock and roll time, as my daughter says. And then yeah, we'll see where everybody lands as far as the playing games go. So, and then
Yeah, let's talk
tomorrow.
about that. Let's talk about that. What we need you guys to do is we need you to go to the link that we put in the Facebook post and vote for the playing games because after 9 p.m. Central Time tonight, now we will have an established full field of 64 brands that are ready to kind of duke it out in bracket style coming down here. And so, as I mentioned, Dynasphere and Off the Rail are going at it right now. You can get your votes in. Mike, do you have the link handy? Probably not, right?
No, definitely not. But it is. Oh, you know what? Actually, I do because I just brought it up. So I'll
Yeah,
go and I'll
paste
share
it
it in
in
the
here.
chat. But yeah, you guys can still go out and vote. I think we got about an hour and 10 minutes left to go. Then what we're gonna do is starting tomorrow. We're gonna actually do two regions for every day. So like tomorrow we'll have two regions worth of voting, and we can start getting to see who's gonna move on and who's gonna go home. So
Yeah, and just to kind of give you guys a little background here, the thing that we were thinking to come up with 68, it sounds like, wow, it's a lot you have to think of. It's a lot of things. And we did do, quite a bit of work on it. But when you get down to it, there's actually a lot more brands and some of them that got left out. A good example, Post Up, great streaming service out in California. We wanted to have them in. They kind of got bubbled out, and so what we're telling people is on the main post in Windows Open, go ahead and put in other brands that maybe you think we dogged it and they should have been included. That way they get a little shout out too and they get to kind of play along because we're not trying to isolate anybody or leave anybody out. We're just
I
having a
think
lot of fun with this.
yeah,
I know
quit
you're going
saying
to
that.
call me
You just
soft, aren't
no,
you?
I know because you never want to ruffle any feathers. And the fact is, listen, some people just couldn't go and cut it this time around, but it doesn't mean that they won't on the next go around. But the deal is that we didn't want it to be like so specific when it came to just pool cues, so specific when it came to just streaming. We wanted it to be like a fair balance of things. And at the end of the day, listen, there's plenty of teams that are like the first four out in the NCAA tournament. This is going to be no different. A few guys, like you mentioned, Collins, Charles Lakey, which I know I sent you a message saying that he ought to
Yeah,
have
you
been in
did.
there.
I dogged that one.
Yeah. So we looked at guys with big followings, guys with big groups, things like that. So, but starting off, we got Dynasphere against Off the Rail Apparel. Both, kind of we were kind of going back and forth about it. Joey, give me your thoughts and let me know what you're thinking as far as this matchup.
In terms of who's going to win in popularity,
Yeah, yeah, for
well, this
sure.
is a tough one, because Dynaspheres, they have the balls. A lot of people are
They,
into kind of the
easy,
funk.
easy, cowboy. They got the balls, huh?
They're kinda into the funky look of the balls, the platinum version that they have, but
Which we got some that we're gonna be raffling pretty soon, by the way.
they
I don't think
also have
Joey
a
knows it.
gold version and a bronze version, so, I mean, they make decent balls, and they're up against Off the Rail, which, Jamie's really taken that company and blown it up in the last several years. We've seen, I know, Sky Woodward just went with Onboard, but before that, he was wearing Off the Rail. We see Efren at his booth at Derby City, so and you and I were next to him at CSI Expo last year, and a lot of pros wanna hang around and kinda check out Off the Rail, so it's going to be a tough matchup, but regardless of who wins, they got their work cut out for them because they're going to face the number one seed in Predator. And so when you look at this, Predator, I want you to guys to kind of think about this when it comes to the voting on Predator. We had to break Predator up into a couple things, right? So they have the product side and they have the event side. So that's why in one of the other regions, you're going to find the US Pro Billiard Series. And so that's kind of like the Predator events arm. So think about it like that when you're looking at this is the Predator kind of
See,
products here.
if it were up to me, I wanted to dive deep even further. I wanted to go and talk about their racks. I wanted to talk about their chalks. I wanted to talk about Q. I
I
wanted to throw
vetoed that
them.
idea.
He did right away. I wanted to see. I really
I'm like,
wanted
we
to
can't
see
have
where they
9
had the
entries for Predator here, okay?
rack. Listen, I wanted to get a vote and see how the cloth would do, how the rack would do, and I think it would have been pretty funny and but also kind of see where they're at in the grand scheme of things when it comes to popularity amongst other things. But you're right. Dinosaur Off the Rail, they're going to be up against it. Number one seed overall. There's four number ones, but right below that, I think we got some guys who may start shocking some people in Shark Stream, which is out of the Philippines, and Dom's group, Dunsky Dungeon.
Yeah, we know from the NCAA tournament, this 8-9 game is a crucial game, right? And not often does the 8 or 9 end up beating the 1 in round 2, but 8 and 9 is always one of the most competitive games, two evenly matched teams. And here we got Dunsky's Dungeon, which you guys know, huge Facebook group out of Florida, against Sharks live stream from the Philippines, right, Mike?
Yeah, they do a lot of challenge matches. I don't know how much gambling's going on there in those matches, but they bring over a lot of players from Bustamante, who's from the Philippines. You got Earl Strickland, who's on his way over there. Shane's been over there once, I think, going over there twice pretty soon. Darren Appleton. They just got a ton of monsters. It's like the who's who of players is heading out there. Chang, the Cole brothers. They do a pretty good job. I think they may be ranked a little too low in my opinion. At being an 8 seed, I think they should have been a little bit higher. But you never know, man. Dom may start calling the troops and in droves. But I'll tell you what, the Filipinos can also send their guys out to start clicking some buttons
Yeah,
and putting in
that's the
some
thing.
votes.
If you guys have connections with any of these brands, get a message out to them, man, and they'll energize their base. Like I know Dom's probably already putting messages out in the dungeon trying to get people behind him. And he's playing very modest in here talking about that Sharks can give him the two ball. But let's go down to the number 5 versus number 12 matchup. Sharavari, you guys know him from his training videos on YouTube, excellent videos and really a powerful influencer in the game of pool. And so that's one of the reasons that we had him rated pretty high at a number 5 seed. And I don't know a whole lot about custom cues in general. So tell us about Assel Custom Cues, Mike.
I think he's out of the East Coast, but Aaron's been making some great cues for quite a few years. Long wait list now. I think he's over, boy, at least like 5 years plus, if I'm not mistaken. Just as far as a weight, real classy design, nice ring work. And again, we didn't want to just show love to production and these big companies. We wanted to show love to custom cue makers as well. There was a few guys that were kind of on the bubble, guys who I know or like real well. But we try to just look at what their popularity has been like over the last few years, what the weight's like, what kind of traction they get on their pages, things like that. And Aaron, I mean, what can you say, man? He makes some amazing cues. I've had a few of them myself, but I think Charvari may go with the W on this one. Really big group, and just provides like really really awesome and well, like
Great content.
it's great content, but the way he delivers it and packages it is fantastic. He does just so many things on his page.
Yeah. And, to talk about the custom cues, we had quite a few of those that got bubbled out. There's so many cue makers, so many great cue makers out there. So hopefully nobody gets kind of uptight about it. But we had to make some decisions down towards the end. We wanted to get a good deal of these influencers in that had a lot of followers because we know they have a lot of kind of clout in the game and get people energized. So that's one of the reasons you'll find a few custom cue makers, but not a ton of them. Going down, we have the 4 seed, strong 4 seed, Cyberts. Get all your online, Q stuff from Cyberts, accessories, cues, cases, all that stuff. You guys know them pretty well, and they're facing off against Mez Qs coming in at the 13 seed. So, thoughts on that, Mikey?
Mez got no shot. I feel like they're unless we can get Jeff and Mika to come on the show simultaneously uh, to
That
pitch
wouldn't
for
be fair.
Mez.
That would be like
For
influencing the election.
Hey, listen, I think that's actually a great idea. I know Jeff won't take my messages, but maybe he'll take yours. So, I think that might be actually pretty good. But I like Seabirds for the win. They're one of the biggest supply companies in the industry. Alongside like the guys like Omega, Pull Dog, and a few others. But I think Seabirds for me is right up top. They've been a sponsor of the show before, and I know they're making a lot of big moves in the industry, like behind the doors. So, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah. So speaking of Omega, we got Omega TV. They're also one of the ones that are broken down into two categories: Omega TV and Omega, the billiard supply company. So you'll find them on the other side of the bracket as well. And they're facing off against Brunswick, coming in at 11 seed, which I know you think is kind of low, Melina. But the thought process there is, yeah, Brunswick's been a staple in the industry for what, a century, maybe more.
Right.
Uh, but lately, you're just not seeing as much out of them, and I think that's why they got kind of a little bit lower seed here. But certainly, you have your diehard Brunswick fans that are Gold Crown fans, been playing on Gold Crowns their whole life, and so I think they got a shot here for the upset over Omega.
I think it's a tough little bottom part of the South. Omega is actually, I was kind of on the fence whether or not to even include them. Rumblings are they're not going to be doing streams anytime soon. So I know Steven's no longer with them. And I know they just, as much as they've been putting out a ton of content, doing tournaments and action matches, things like that. I don't know how much more we're going to get from them, at least in the immediate. But we'll see.
Well, we
Um,
couldn't overlook them, Mike, because if you think about the matchups that they've had, including this latest one with Shane and Tony, I mean, they've had some really great matchups. I went through and I was doing my taxes today, and I'm going back through all the money I spent with Omega for the different streams they had, just because it's been great content and great to watch. So, moving down, number 3, Simonis. Kind of the industry standard there with Cloth facing off against 14 Relive. And I know, Mike, you think Relive is way underrated.
this is this
However,
this is this comment wins the night by far. By the way.
that's hilarious.
Uh,
But I know Relive does some great stuff out of Europe. But I mentioned it when I said that we're dogging it, and we're probably dogging it. But we have a U.S. bias here, and so not as many people here, I think, follow them. But it depends on who turns out the vote here if they can knock off Simonis in that number 3 hole.
I think Real Life deserves to be ranked a little higher than number 14. For my money, I think they got one of the biggest Facebook pages on the planet, along with just putting out a ton of great content. Very underrated. I follow a lot of things Pool, and they're one of the pages that I enjoy receiving their content from. But being up against the number 3 seed in Simonis, I think you're going to be, taking an early exit. And I like Simonis actually coming out of this particular area here and facing Diamond in a couple of rounds.
Woo,
So
that'd
we'll
be a
see.
killer matchup, won't it?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, so moving down, we got
Hey,
Jacoby Hughes. I just saw today Nate Minden from Q It Up, who's also in the brackets here. He posted a beautiful Jacoby Q that he's razzing right now. So they're the 7th seed. They're facing off against Onboard, who that's one that I think is a bit underrated. I think Onboard should have been a lot higher. Obviously, they're making all the jerseys for Moscone Cup, and they're a lot of pros being sponsored by them. Sky Woodward recently signing on with them.
they got the
So I
big
think they
boys.
probably should have been like an 8, maybe a 7 seed.
I mean, they sponsor everyone. The fillers, Shane, Sky. You said, along with a few others from junior players, and then a few other domestic players and international. Um, I just, you know, I want to see them do more. When we thought about apparel, when I go into a room, here in the States anyway, because we do have a U.S. bias. If I look around, I see Jam Up everywhere. I see Hustling everywhere. So those are going to be the ones that I'm going to stick with first. If I start seeing more tournaments and I see more onboard apparel gear, around the tournament room, then maybe we can sway them going forward. But right now, I think they're pegged just fine. Jacoby Q's, they've continued to evolve and they were more known as a custom Q company. Now they're more of a production, but they still come up with some killer custom designs, a real hybrid of a company, but still continuing to push the envelope, come out with fantastic products and just good guys to deal with in general. So, but in that area, I think you're going to be up against Diamond.
Yeah,
For
one of the
my money.
classiest, you know, entries here is the number 2 seed Diamond, and we've seen even more support, I think, for them now that Predator's making tables and
Well,
other
this could be pretty interesting because there's a pretty good chance that the number 1 seed Predator, if they get through those first few rounds, they may end up facing Diamond. And given their history, I'm anxious to see that if they do match up, who comes away with the W. I know that I would probably that, or I think anyway, that Diamond would come away ahead of it in a vote. But we'll see. I hope.
It will
I
be
pray.
really interesting because you
Yeah.
have the whole debate with the Predator tables and the Diamond tables now. So
Exactly.
yeah, but
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
have all the people that love the Predator Qs and the, Revo shafts and things. So that'll be an interesting matchup if it happens. But before it does, Diamond's going to have to get past Perry Qs. We know Perry Qs, it's Jason Shaw's. They sponsor Jason Shaw. They have nice Qs there, but they're coming in at the 15th seed. It's asking an awful lot for them to knock off Diamond here, I think.
I agree with you.
Let's head down. We'll head down to the East bracket. And here we have the play-in game. It's an interesting one for me because we got one PKT, a company that you're involved with. And, just so you guys know, Melina's like, take one PKT out, take them out. And I kept saying, no, leave them in, man. It's got a lot of momentum. They're doing some cool things. You guys have some new designs coming out and everything. But, this Tsunami Shafts, I've been hearing more and more about them. It seems like I'm hearing all over the country. People are raving about their, what is it, Keelwood shafts, Mike,
Yeah.
and just doing some cool things. So it's a little bit of a tough matchup for you here facing off against them. So what are your thoughts? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, that I tell you what, just from a posting standpoint, Tsunami Shafts, is probably one of the best in the business. They do a good job of doing a lot of stuff on social media, which come out pretty funny. Um, I don't know if they ought to be in the playing game. They were a last minute ad, and so we had a custom queue maker in its place that we removed. But they've gotten a lot of buzz lately. So we'll see where they end up. I like them in that first round against one PKT, even though I'm a little biased. Um, I do. I
You're
like them to
hedging your
get through.
bets here.
No, it's not that. But I also feel like that once they end up matching up against the APA as the number 1 overall seed in this region, that it's going to be real tough because there's a lot of APA players. Now, how many of them are on Facebook or follow the page? I don't know, but we're going to find out starting tomorrow.
Yeah, my buddy Kyle out here in Arizona said, "Man, one PKT is gonna win that match, and then they're gonna knock off APA." And I'm like, "Hold your tickets, just wait a second, because APA is the largest pool league in America and probably the world." And so to think that, they don't have a ton of support, you're kinda crazy. So I know if you're maybe a BCA player, you play different leagues, and you don't play APA, sometimes people get down on their handicap system and stuff, but hey, they're the biggest thing out there. And so if people start throwing their support behind it, I think they have a good chance to go deep in this event.
I think that's the thing. We don't do a lot of stuff when it comes to amateur pool. So again,
We
I
need
don't
to do
know how.
more, actually.
We do. And I don't know, how many of them follow the page. That's the biggest thing, right? So how many of the shares it's going to get when it comes to the voting. Whereas, Tsunami, I know those guys and that team from Dell and just a few others that do a really good job of marketing that brand. And I'm sure you're going to see it all over the place, and I'm sure they're going to get a lot of votes. So it'll be a really interesting matchup. I think there could
You're
be an
already
upset
counting
there.
yourself out. You're already talking about Tsunami against APA. You're counting yourself out.
Listen, I just think I'm keeping it real. I think I like Tsunami in that buy-in one. I do. So
All
we'll
right,
see though.
so let's go to the Evertough 8-9 matchup. We got Cue It Up Network with Nate Mindham facing off against Rassen. So we know Rassen. We see their tables at the Moscone Cup, and you know some of the other Predator event or the Matchroom events.
Yeah, I'll
They're
say definitely
usually
not there.
Yeah, that's a slip. They're usually at the Matchroom events where it's not large multi-table events, just because it's much easier to set up diamonds than it is Rassen. So if they have like maybe a two-table or one-table event, you'll see the Rassen there. But if it's going to be like the U.S. Open or UK Open or something, it's going to be diamond tables at those events. But quality product, a lot of people love them. I know Nick De Leon out here in Arizona
Okay,
has
that's
one in
enough.
his
That's
house.
enough with all that cupcake stuff. Give me who you think's gonna come out of that matchup.
Well, I think, in some ways, I think that the podcasters, the influencers, they have an advantage here because of the fact that they already have this built-in following. Now, Rassen has a fan base. They have a lot of people that like their products, but Nate has quite a few followers. I
Do
don't
they
know,
have the people that are gonna
20,000.
be clicking the buttons? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think it would be Cue It Up. I think Cue It Up's going to make it out of this one, and they got a good chance to make the Sweet 16, if you ask me.
You think so? You like them not only winning this one but the following one also?
I do. Yeah. I think that's
Wow,
upset city in round 2 over the APA, but we'll see.
I don't know about all that.
All
We'll
right,
see
fifth
though. We'll
seed
see.
Pool Action TV, Ray Hansen. You guys know it well. He covers a lot of tournaments, Texas Open, things like that, and a lot of those two-man tournaments where players are matching up for quite a bit of cash. It's a pay-per-view service. He does a great job with that. But he's got a little bit of a tough matchup here, I think, because I know that Carmelli is one of the favorites out of people who like custom cue makers, and he makes beautiful cues. I just love the style that comes out of his shop. And so I think this is going to be a tough matchup here. I'm not really sure which way to go with it. What say you, Mike?
Oh, I know which way to go. You're gonna go pull action TV all day, just because the amount of events that Ray does in a year, right? From tournaments to two-man tournaments, like you said. As much as I do like Ariel's cues. Give me pull action TV for the win. So, and I like them to go pretty deep, to be honest with you.
All right, fourth seed Jam Up. We've been hearing quite a bit about them in the last several years. They're now partnered with Predator. They're just turning out tons of designs and doing some cool things. They're going up against Zen Qs, which Zen Qs, for those of you who don't know, is what the
Upset
Cole brothers play with. Some of the most beautiful cues you will ever
and
see.
expensive cues, by the
And the
way.
only reason that they're, I think, a 13 seed is because, again, we're in the United States and they're in Asia. And so I don't know that how many people are going to know about Zen Qs here and kind of rank them with some of the other brands that we see. But I tell you what, super incredible quality. When we saw both the Coe brothers in Vegas and saw their cues, I mean, it was just like eye candy.
I think you got a possibility for an upset, but I like Jam Up. Like I said, anytime I go somewhere, all I see is Jam Up gear all over the place. So give me Jam Up for the win. Go, I hate going just straight chalk. I love Zen Qs though, man. I mean, from the inlays to the intricacy, the attention to detail, they're completely unique in their designs. Um, segmented handles, dark woods. I mean, you name it. It's just they're works of art, and you're probably looking at somewhere in that black bore range when it comes to a minimum, right? So like probably in that 10,000 minimum is what I would guess. And but those Cole Brothers cues, I mean, they're probably upwards of like 20 plus, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right, moving down, we have the 6 seed Taum against the 11th seed Lomax, Lomax Custom Cues. And it's interesting because years ago, it seemed like Lomax was known just for his jump cues, and he was churning those out pretty quickly, and they were great jump cues. I have one actually, but now he's kind of broken out of that regional uh, jump cue maker niche, and he's developed into a really good cue maker. And but I don't know if he's going to have the firepower to deal with Taum here. Taum is probably one of the most popular chalks that are out there. They are one of the most popular chalks that are out there. Their V10 chalk, as well as their Pyro, which I use. So I
well,
think
that's
Taum's
it.
going to get the win here.
They got the Joey Ryan stamp of approval. That's all they
Yeah,
need. So
I endorsed them.
yeah. No, Steve's got to, from his cues to jump cues, break cues, you name it. His following, his repair work. He's always going to be at the expo along with Blackburn and at the Derby. A lot of people love Steve, and as well they should. He's helped inspired and done a lot of great things in the pool world. So I'd love to see him come away with the win. Town, they're all over the place. Every winner you see probably uses their chalk. So I think I'm probably gonna go straight chalk on this one. No pun intended.
Yeah, that's good actually. And
Yeah, yeah.
the 3 seed is actually chalk too for the most part. And so that makes for a very interesting matchup in the field of 32, potentially with Taum and Kamui squaring off early in this event. So I wonder if those companies will be watching what's happening with the voting here. But Kamui facing off against Castile Leather Goods makes beautiful cases, custom cases. We wanted a few custom case makers in there, and so we got Castillo in there. And I think
Give me
Kamui's got too
Taum
much
over Kamui
firepower.
in that next round. Give me Taum over Kamui in that
Oh,
next round.
really?
Yeah. Give me the
Well, let's
6
see if
over
they
the
get
3.
there first.
We'll see.
Yeah. By the way, guys, we're almost done this East bracket, but just to let you know, the voting will open up for this. When is it going to open? Are we going to open it tonight, Mike, or are we going to open it tomorrow?
No, probably first thing in the morning. We're gonna make the post probably this evening, and then we'll get it out there first thing in the morning. We'll have all day to vote for these two regions that we just went over right now, or the ones that we're finishing up, and then we'll go through these two, and then the following day we'll do the next two. So
All right. So what you guys don't see is Mike Pinozzo helped us with some of this, and we were kind of he had some good input, and I think he's a little scared of his first round matchup, Billiards Digest, facing off against the 10 seed, 3 seconds. And in fact, I would be scared if I was him. A lot of people like the 3 seconds cases and what they bring to the market. And Billiards Digest, though, it's been the Billiards magazine for so long. Great articles, great participation, a lot of great writers that contribute to it, and you know, always getting good interviews and information. So it's going to be a tough one. I think it's a toss up here. I know Takoya pretty well. You know his product line and the quality with the cases. So what are your thoughts?
I think it's just a matter of who can push more, right? I love Mike. Obviously, Mike's going to be on for a few of these shows that we're going to do in regards to this. Uh, Give me 3 seconds for the upset. 3 seconds over Birds Digest.
Ah,
So
breaking
yeah,
Pinozzo's heart.
I am. Yeah, man, I am. Yeah, without a doubt.
All right, so the number 2 seed in this group, which is a very strong competitor, it's QTech. We've seen what they've done over the last 5 or 6 years, really bringing in top talent and upping their game. I've said it before. Guys know I use QTech stuff, and years ago I never thought I would use QTech stuff. I remember when I thought of QTech as kind of being kind of junky, to be honest with you. But recently, they've really turned things around. They're making high quality products. They've just partnered with Matchroom now. And so it makes them a formidable competitor in the number 2 seed here. But they're going up against number 15, Jay Flowers. Any chance of an upset here?
Negative. No, none. Zero. No, nothing. You got Sky. You got Shane. Uh, People love Q-Tech Qs. They've really kind of reinvented themselves, and they'll say that they came out of the ashes in so many ways with the way their products were before. I think they're, more progressive in a lot of aspects, like in the post Revo market that we're in right now. So kudos to them. I like them going really deep. I like maybe a Town versus Q-Tech matchup later on. But I feel like they got a real good shot at sweeping this whole region coming out altogether, to be honest with you.
All right, let's head on over. We'll go straight across to the west. By the way, I worked my butt off putting these brackets together. So in the West, the playing game is an interesting one. Two folks based out of Texas, right? We got Brutal Game squaring off against Lil Chris's YouTube channel, which, by the way, I was campaigning to get Lil Chris in there with his YouTube channel. And I remember telling you he's got like 70,000 subscribers. And when we looked, he had 95,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to Lil Chris's YouTube, go help him out, help him get to 100,000. And
Without a
I
doubt.
heard early voting, Lil Chris was actually making a big dent there, a big push. And yeah,
There's no
so
way to know that because you can't see who's winning.
I don't know. Panozzo saw it.
There's no way because I'm the one who made that poll. There's no way. I
Are
can't
you
even see
sure
it.
we're going to be able to see at the end? This would be real
Allegedly,
sucky if we couldn't see it at the end.
allegedly, we'll find
Uh,
out though.
well, I tell you what, whoever makes it out of that one, which I think is really a pick 'em, they got their work cut out for them because they're going up against Venom and his YouTube page.
Well,
And
you could have two powerhouse YouTube players there. Low Venom, I think, is got little Chris's number in that category. Yeah, I like Venom. And if it so happens to get a share from him, he's gonna get a ton of votes for sure.
yeah, I like that comment. APA will lose first round for sandbagging.
This guy's on
That's
fire today,
hilarious.
man.
So jumping down. Well, by the way, let me just say a word about Venom. Some folks like some of the brands here in this region, and I think kind of are overlooking Venom and just the firepower that Florian has. If this gets shared on Venom's page and somebody
It's
sees
a
this,
wrap,
it's over.
son.
It is
It's a
over.
wrap, son. The guy's got like 1,000,000 followers. There's no chance that anybody can fade that. So you better hope that he does not follow the page. Although I think he does. We met him out in Vegas. Really cool guy.
Yeah.
He's just all over the place and really just a great ambassador for pool in general. So whether you're following his Facebook channel or his YouTube channel, show love, man. And I'm sure he's gonna get a ton of it. So, and underneath that, you got two custom makers, one in queues and one cases. Witten is kind of known as probably a gold standard when it comes to custom cases. Really super high end, ton of great quality premium hides that are used out there. Up against someone who I kind of campaigned for in Pat Deviney out of Iowa. I think Pat may have him beat when it comes to following stuff on Facebook, but I tell you what, people love Witten cases, man.
Yeah, but it's a tough matchup for him. I mean, when I saw Davini up there, I saw that 8-9 matchup. It just doesn't look very good for Witten here. I think Davini, it's like you mentioned in the middle of the country, but the cues are recognizable throughout the what do they call that style that he specializes in, Mike? Is it like butterfly or something?
Yeah, they'll do a lot of butterfly cues, a lot of bigger cues now. That Pat's kind of slowing down as far as pumping out some numbers, but they were actually one of the first ones to start doing keelwood shafts. So I mean, actually, the term keelwood came from Pat. Because that's not the actual term of the wood. That's the term that Pat named it, and then it just kind of stuck because they were one of the first ones, and a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I mean, I've spent about 1 week a year, if not more, out there, and I haven't gone in a little bit, but I got a soft spot for Pat and Fina, and Danny for that matter. They're like family to me, and I know where my vote's going to go. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So the fifth seed AccuStats. We all know AccuStats. I mean,
They almost got left
I'm
out.
old
For
enough.
full disclosure, they almost got left out in general because they were kind of an afterthought. And I don't know
We
how the
kinda
hell
dogged it, yeah.
we did. Yeah,
But
we
but let me
almost
tell you
did.
something, I'm old enough to remember popping in the VHS tapes of AccuStats and watching some of their classics. Right now, we know they bring you, the international, they got all the coverage there and everything. So, AccuStats coming in at a solid 5th seed, and they're facing off against the other Omega, the same Omega, but actually the product company, Omega Acme Cases. Should be an interesting matchup. I
I
know
think it'll be close. I
yeah,
think
when you
it'll
go
be
out to
close.
Vegas, that Omega booth is always packed. Whenever you need something, you can stop by there. You can get a chalk holder. You get any kind of accessory you want. So a lot of people know that name, and it should be interesting here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're not gonna last very long, whoever comes out of that win. Accusat's definitely a lot of history, a bit antiquated for my money, to be honest with you. Um, you know, I think there's a lot of they could do they could do more, I feel like, when it comes to the streaming side of it. I know with Digital Pool and those guys, they're doing more as far as streaming additional tables, but kind of inconsistent, especially after, the Derby City debacle that happened. We'll see how far they go, but I think it's going to be a tough matchup. Give me the 12 seed for the upset here.
Yeah. So moving down, what was the first thing that you said when I gave you the first draft of these brackets, Mike? Do you remember?
How the did we end up facing Aramith in the first round? So this is how you know it wasn't rigged, because if I'm gonna get a choice of where I think we ought to be at, I would not put Dogging It up against Aramith. They are a powerhouse. They are a threat to win the whole thing. I don't think I've ever heard anybody on earth say anything negative about Aramith, and Lord knows that I get a bunch of shit talkers just about me in general, like half a day, at least. So, yeah, we're in a tough spot here, buddy. We're in a really, really tough
Yeah,
spot.
well, I'm glad we are because I really didn't even want to be in here, to be honest with you. I wanted
It
it
was
to
your
be
idea.
like,
I said we should be in here.
whatever, man. You're like, we should be a number 2 seed. I couldn't believe you said
No, I did not. No,
that.
I did not. Absolutely not.
No, I didn't want to be in here, but we're in here. We're gonna get knocked off in the first round. There you go. Okay. Bounces in the first round. Oh, okay. Okay. So the 6th seed. I'm really high on this company, Digital Pool. Uh, Following their brackets online. They're starting to outfit pool rooms with like streaming and scorekeeping on each table. Innovative things coming from Isaac at Digital Pool. He's sponsored the show before. He's doing some cool things. It's a solid 6th seed for a very new company, but I think their innovation is what got them there. But they face off against Dave's YouTube, which has quite a huge following of, folks that are looking for pool instructions, kind of similar to what Charavari and Little Chris do. Tons of great content on there, tons of great video. But I like Digital Pool to pull this one out.
I mean, they were one of the first guys to start doing this like instructional style stuff on YouTube. Was Dr. Dave. So, kind of a bit of a pioneer in a lot of aspects. Gets a ton of respect, and his credibility is without question. Digital Pool's kind of the new guy on the block, but they've been making some waves in their own right. I think it'll be a matter of who can get the most votes, and I think Digital Pool may be able to kind of push it a little bit more, unless Dr. Dave
Bro, did you just do one of
can
my
share it.
things? You
What's
just did
that?
one of my Captain Obvious things, like, I think it'll come down to who gets the most votes. That's exactly how we're counting it.
Well, yeah, I
I
guess I
mean,
did,
like,
huh?
there's
You're
no
rubbing
other
off on me.
thing.
Yeah.
It's the number of
I'm gonna
votes.
go on a limb. Whoever gets the
It's the
most
most
clicks
votes wins.
might have a good chance at getting the W here.
Oh gosh. Number 3 seed, Southwest Q's. We all know Southwest, the quality. You just say I was out in Vegas a few years ago with my buddy Alex Canapilli, and he had an extra Southwest Q in his bag that he was just looking to sell. Some guy literally bought it from him, paid him $7,000 right there in Las Vegas. Just high quality Qs. They do a great job. So they definitely deserve that 3 seed. They're facing off against number 14, Outsville, who has quite a few fans. They got some chalk. They got the template racks. Any chance here for an upset, Mikey?
Um, no, no, and I'm no.
I think so. I don't know. It's possible.
You know, yeah, no, 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 no. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be tough. Southwest has a lot of people that love and appreciate their cues. You know, even if you can appreciate Chris's products, he can be a bit, volatile online.
Sounds
Um,
like you.
yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, in a lot of aspects. But I think he can come across a little, it's it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see the results. I'll put it like that. Or he
All
may,
right.
if he loses, he may go and blame the algorithm. I'll say that.
All right.
Yeah.
7th seed JB Cases, John Barton.
Hey,
Uh,
scroll it so
you
we can
can't
see.
see it? Oh, we
No,
gotta move us. Hold on, we gotta move
scroll it.
us. Let's put us on the side. Here, let's do this. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
7 seed JB Cases, John Barton. He commented on the post when we put this up, had no idea what was happening. And he's like, "Did I lose already?" And we're like, "No, the voting's going to open for this tomorrow. You're going to have a chance. You're going to be able to mobilize your fan base there." And he's like, "Okay, I'll get warmed up." So JB Cases, a solid number 7 seed, facing off against the number 10 seed on the Wire Creative Media and the JIC. We kind of combine that together because that's, On the Wire does a lot of stuff, but they've mainly been known in the last several years for the JIC, the Junior International. What do they call it, Mike? Junior. Anyway, JIC.
Championships, I think.
Yeah.
You just offended a
So,
lot of juniors, by the way.
what's that?
You just offended a lot of juniors by not knowing that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love the juniors. But I think this could be a close matchup. But I'll say this: a lot of people with JB cases love JB cases. I have a
They do.
JB. I love my case, and you see a ton of them out and about when you're at any pool event. You're going to see a ton of JB cases. So a lot of fans there with that. Um, with On the Wire focusing mainly on the junior circuit, they're going to have to mobilize that younger vote, get them
I
out to
think they
vote.
can mobilize. I think a lot of them will get a lot of clicks, to be honest with you. And John's the gold standard when it comes to case. I think a lot of people know that. But, he can kind of be a little interesting online, to say the least. So we'll see how that reflects in the voting. Great products. Both of them got a real good chance. But I think either way, in that whole area, I think the number 2 seed is the one to beat in the Pro Beard Series.
Let's talk about that because, I know we enjoy going to see those events, but there are quite a few critics out there that don't like the race to 4 format. They don't like the shootout. So this is another one that while they're a 2 seed and they're definitely a formidable opponent here, they could get knocked off just because if it just so happens that people that are voting are the ones that are kind of critics of their format and their style. They're playing 10 ball now, Matchroom's playing 9 ball. They're doing the shorter races. So it'll be interesting. I think they do get by the first round. Online supplier Pool Dog, it's been around for a while and they do good things, but they're going to have their hands full here with the US Pro Billiard Series.
Agreed. But yeah, yeah. We'll see. I mean, I guess it's all about the association, right? Like when I think about On the Wire, I think about the JIC, right? And that's what I wanted to, name it Pro Bird Series. If they can keep it just about like, what they're bringing to pool and a lot of free content,
And a lot of
um,
money. How about
yeah,
that?
a lot of big events going on, not just men events, but women events as well. So they're doing a lot of great things. I think that they're going to cruise by, at least this whole area. And to be honest with you, outside of like maybe an Aramith, I don't know who's going to really give him a run for his money unless like Venom really starts, saying, "Hey, wait a minute."
What about
Um,
JB? What about Digital Pool? There's some good. What about Southwest? There's some good options in the bottom half of that bracket, Mike. I
I,
think you're.
I,
I
I don't
think you're
know.
a little. I think you're not thinking this through clearly.
We shall
I know
see.
you've. I know you've had a lot on your mind lately.
Well, that's
All
true.
right, let's go up to the Midwest bracket here. The play-in game, interesting one. Very interesting matchup here. We got Red Door Dan facing
Last
off
minute
against
edition, by the way. Last minute edition.
facing off against the big time on the road show. That
What is that, Joey, for
huge,
those that don't know?
yeah, it's the huge event that I think they're having in. Did they move it to Alabama or Tennessee or somewhere? Anyway, they have Calcuttas that reach 6 figures, paying out tons of money, all different types of events, split bracket events, regular brackets and handicapped, all this stuff, but tons of money in those tournaments. And they're really gathering a big following online. I was actually checking them out today. And so that's going to be an interesting first round matchup here.
I agree. Biggest Calcuttas in the industry, handicap split bracket events, and I think some other kind of style. But getting a lot of buzz. They've moved, I think, from Alabama to Tennessee. Um, Yeah, just big money, but I think Greg and his group can really turn this on its head because I like the Red Door Den coming out. And I also kind of like them if Greg gets behind it, which he's been known to get behind his own brand. I may like them as upset in Matchroom in that first round.
Nah,
I
I
think
think
they
you're
may be
smoking crack.
the first 1 seed to go down.
I
Call me
think you're
crazy.
I think you're smoking crack here. But let me tell you this. We saw it when Greg was on our show and came on and talked about his
ton of
prospects
views.
at making the Mosconi Cup, man. There were tons of fans that supported Greg and what he was doing out there. And so I think he's got the upper hand in this playing game. But the reward for that is you play the literal top dog in all of billiards right now, Matchroom. So we'll see. Um, so the 8 and 9 matchup is also a pretty interesting one. Another late addition that we kind of overlooked at first, but then once we realized the impact it has, Pool is Not Dead, the Facebook group, uh, tons of followers on that Facebook group, all kinds of stuff. I made a post in there about this so that if that post gets approved and posted on Pool is Not Dead, who knows? We might have like 40,000 people come in here and start voting for Pool is Not Dead Facebook to win, and then Matchroom will have their hands full. But first, I got to get by Blackboard. Blackboard, one of the best custom queue companies out there. Tony and Marilyn just does an amazing job. I love a Blackboard queue, and when you look at them, they have this distinct look. You can kind of pick it out right away. Just beautiful hitting cues and beautiful looking cues. But I don't know if they're going to have the firepower to get by Pool is Not Dead.
See, I don't know. I mean, Pool's Not Dead is a great Facebook group, but I don't know what their fandom is like. Like, I don't know what their loyalty is like. Even though they have a lot of numbers, how is that going to translate into votes, right? Tony, for that matter, I don't think that clientele is on Facebook giving a shit about, some kind of online vote, to be honest with you.
What are you
Although
saying, Mike?
I'm
We're
just
not
saying,
doing
listen,
cool stuff here?
you hit the nail on the head, though. They're great playing cues, great money. I think you're looking at around a $10,000 minimum, probably. And I'm probably being a little light there, to be honest
Yeah, I
with you.
think you
Probably,
are actually.
I think it's probably closer to like 15 to 20 as
Yeah.
far as a minimum. But they have their own unique style. I like the pin they use. I've been fortunate enough the few times that I've gone out to the DMV, been able to play with a few of those cues, and they play just unbelievable. But whether or not that translates into votes, we shall see. Flip the coin, I guess.
All right, another big player here, the number 5 seed AZ Billiards. What can you say about AZ Billiards? It was one of the first online presence I can remember getting on there and following players and following events and doing stuff. Mike Howerton out in Arizona does a great job with AZ Billiards. They're facing off against the number 12, Zan Tips. I don't know a whole lot about them, but Mike, you assure me that they might be the hottest tip out there.
Yeah, listen, I think Xan tips are highly popular. They play really well. I love hitting with them. Um, Always hard to get here in the U.S., which is another sign of just how popular they are. If you talk to queue makers, they'll let you know as well, and repairmen. Whether or not they can beat AZ Billiards, I don't know. I don't know if AZ Billiards fan base has ever heard of Facebook though. So I'm not. I'm not. I'm
I
not
went to
sure.
AZ Billiards twice today
I
to look up stuff.
I'm
So
not listen, I'm just saying, I don't know if those guys who are on there and loyal to AZ Beards, I don't know if they know about Facebook yet. They may still be on MySpace. I don't know. But we
you're
shall
just
see
dissing.
when the voting opens up, we're gonna find out.
I
So
can't believe you're dissing like that. All right, let's go down to the number 4 seed, Fargo Rate. This one could go either way, right? Because Fargo Rate has people who love Fargo Rate, and then they have people who are like, anybody who's mad at Fargo Rate is usually
they've
mad
ruined
because
pool.
hold
They've
on, they
ruined
think
pool.
somebody's cheating Fargo Rate, or they feel like they should be rated higher. It happens all the time. It's like, I beat so and such, and I'm only a 675. I should be a 725, and so they get mad at Fargo Rate. So the question is, how's that going to play out in the voting? Are you going to get the people who are upset that their Fargo is not 10 points higher, or are you going to get the people that understand its impact in the industry, which is actually very huge? And now I don't love when tournament directors use Fargo Rate to cap tournaments. I think that's a bad move for pool. It's a bad move if we're trying to grow the sport and get,
Here we go.
players.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
I'm going to go back on my
Here, here,
soapbox.
here we go.
However, I love the fact that I can track my progress in Fargo Rate, and I have a number associated with how I perform, right? And that number can go up or down based on how I perform. So, but they're facing off against Shelby Custom Cues. I don't know a whole lot about Shelby, but Mike, tell us.
I mean, Shelby Stock is just through the rise. Makes amazing full splice cues, completely unique in his design. Not really known to do other things, like shafts or I know now he's doing jump cues. But the butts are stunning. They're works of art. The popularity has gone through the roof, not just domestically but internationally as well. Um, yeah, I mean Shelby, and just a solid guy in general. So
Well, my
um,
Fargo rate is now down 3 points from what it used to be, so I'm voting for
before
Shelby.
I think Shelby's gonna go for the win. To be honest with you,
Do you really?
I do.
That'd be
Yeah.
interesting. All right, number 6 seed, Hustlin' USA. You cannot, whether you love the hustling gear, or you don't really wear much of the hustling gear, you can't deny its role in the industry. It's been around for a couple decades now. Tony with Hustlin's always, at all the events, and his product just sells, right? People want the product. It's when you think of pool, you think of Hustling, you think of Hustling USA. So they're coming into the 6th seed, but they're going against somebody who's kind of a newcomer to the industry, at least on the national scene, and that's Fort Worth Billiards. They've sponsored the show before. We've seen them sponsor players before. They're doing some big things down there, and I really like their style and what they do. So should be a good matchup here. Um, who do you think
Yeah.
wins this, Mike?
I'm a big fan of Trujillo out there at Fort Worth Billiards. They've been around doing business for over 70 years. They sponsor Sky, they sponsor Jeremy, just to show the kind of people that they get behind. Um, they show a lot of love within the industry, also sponsoring like some streams as well. So they're not just taking the money and keeping it. They're putting it back out there. One of the things that struck me when it comes to um, uh, Trujillo in particular was that whenever we were having conversations as far as like sponsoring the show, he was like, "Look, I'll get behind what you guys are doing because I want to grow the sport like you guys do." And I
That's
remember in
awesome.
particular, like whenever he had reached out to me about doing something with us for Derby, because we weren't gonna have a booth, right? I didn't. I dogged it. I didn't reach out to Greg from um, Diamond until late in December, so it was already too late. And whenever we had a conversation, I said, "Listen, I don't know what I'm gonna do or how it's gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna get a lot of content, a little bit of content, or how it's gonna be delivered or presented. But I'll tell you, I'm gonna give it my best shot." And that ended up being probably one of the best weeks that we had. And just as far as like from a metric standpoint, and it was great to see like that blind faith in us, and just got behind us, and so
Yeah,
I'll
that's
always be
beautiful.
indebted to him, and will always show love for him.
Absolutely. And by the way, we have folks joining from YouTube. If you're only on YouTube, we made a post on Facebook today, and these are our 68 top billiards brands, pool brands, and we basically put them into a March Madness style bracket. And what we're doing is we're allowing people to vote on these, and we're going to play it out all the way until we have a champion. And pretty much a popularity contest, but it should be pretty fun and pretty cool. We're just doing it for fun. But yeah, so that gets you caught up there. Right now,
23 minutes left to vote, by the way.
23 minutes left to vote for the play-in games. So like in this Midwest bracket right here, it's Red Door Den versus Big Time Roadshow. And Mike, can you repost that link back in the chat just so people have an updated link so they can go and vote for those if they'd like. The number 3 seed, we almost forgot about them, Mike. And, it's kind of one of those deals that I think we almost forgot about and we took them for granted, because they've just been around for so long and they've been a quality product. That's Masters Chalk. And so before there was Town, before there was Kamui, there was good old Masters Chalk. And I used to remember going into pool rooms, and if the Masters Chalk was out and they were using some other type of chalk, it used to really put me on tilt. It was like I didn't even know what to do with myself, right? So I'd grab a piece of Masters Chalk, sometimes stick an extra one in my case for if I ever got someplace and there was no Masters Chalk. But number 3 seed, Masters Chalk, facing off against the number 14 seed Salado in this one. Salado's been making some waves as of late. They have an online platform where you can go in there and find somebody around you to play a match against. And when you do, those results can be reported to Fargo Rate. And it's a good way to build up your robustness if you're trying to get your Fargo scores in, so that way you can get an accurate rating. So it's a tough ass right here for them to knock off Masters Chalk. What do you say, Mike?
It is a tough ask, without a doubt. But the Salado guys are some of the best guys that I've met in pool. We're going to be announcing them as sponsor of the show here pretty soon, and going to get them on. But
Oh, why are you breaking the news?
outside of that, outside of that, I got a lot of love for them. I believe in them, and I want to support them any way that I can, like they support us. But not because they support us, but because of who they are. And if you
Great
get to
guys.
know them, yeah, if you get to know them, which you guys will here pretty soon, whenever we get them on, or have just been fortunate enough to have a conversation with them, then you know what I'm talking about. Real solid guys. It's tough when you're going up against a pillar in the industry in Masters, and I know they'll give respect where it's due. Masters should come away with it, but I'm going to be pushing for Salado. I hope they come away with the win. To be honest with you, and I'm excited to talk about them more and just really showcase them because I feel like there's a really big need for what they do, and I want as many people as we can to use that product.
Yeah. Hey, Melina, reply to the YouTube comment there from David and post the link where he can go to vote because you posted it up on the main chat, but that's only going out to the Facebook people. The next matchup's kind of intriguing. We got the number 7 seed WPBA, and it's really the only like body, I don't know what we call them, kind of like governing body that we had in here. In fact, we caught a lot of heat about this because we didn't have the WPA, we didn't have BCA, we didn't have, all these different other ones in there. And I just explained it that they got bubbled out. Every year at the NCAA tournament, there's some good teams that just don't quite make it. And so they didn't make it. But the WPBA did make it. It's been around for years. It really helped keep pool going at a time when men's pool really wasn't doing a whole lot. And we all know, the icons of the sports, the Allisons, the Kellys, the Jeanette Lees, um, all been a big factor in the WPBA success. They're matching up against really I want to say kind of a fan favorite here. A lot of people love Moochie Hughes.
Love
Ever
who?
since I started playing pool,
Love
uh,
who?
huh?
What was that?
I said a lot of people love Moochie. What did I say wrong? Did I use my Baltimore accent?
I don't know. There's a lot of debate as far as the pronunciation.
All
I'm
right, let
just
me hear it.
saying it. I say Mucci.
Mucci. It's like when I say Jeremy
Mucci.
Sasse.
No, it's not like that at all. But I say I say it like it's designed to be said, I feel like. And then you have guys like you who will say Moochie. Moochie. Like
Moochie.
Moochi is what I hear.
Moochie horn. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We
Moochie.
that ought to be the real vote. That ought to be the vote that gets a lot of clicks as
Is it
far as
Moochie or Moochie? Okay.
Mucci.
Anyway,
Mucci.
Moochie. There's a lot of folks that love Moochie Q's, and they've been around for a long time. We know that they sponsor Billy Thorpe now, and so they're the 10 seed. They're coming in against WPBA. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. Mike, they can't grab that link, Mike. You
Well,
got to
I'm trying to copy and paste it. That's the thing. I don't know
look
how to do that here.
on your computer. Click on the three dots on the YouTube thing, and then put it up
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
I'm dogging it. I'm dogging
he's
it. Here
dogging
we
it.
go.
Sorry, guys. Hey, YouTube, we'll have the link up in a second if Melina Mike can ever figure out how to use a computer.
I don't know how to do that, by the way. So
You
you
can't do
guys,
it?
no, I can't. You do it. Yeah, you
Hey,
do it.
Facebook message me the link and I'll put it in there.
Okay, I'll send it to you right now.
Pinozzo's like, what's going on here? Did you not invite Pinozzo?
I thought Mike would be asleep by now. That's what I thought. But I know
See
we
that?
have plans.
Now he's calling him old. Didn't invite him, and now he's
We
calling him
have
old.
no, we have plans to bring in Mike for the remainder. That's the idea. But I thought anything past like 8 o'clock that Mike was an automatic no go. That's what I thought. Oh, there it is. There goes the
There it
link,
is. Hold
Joey.
on, I'm getting it, guys. Chill out. Do you see the name I have for Melina Mike?
Yeah, Mike's. Yeah, I don't think you guys want to see that one. Uh,
All right.
Panozo, you're on deck for the remainder of the week, buddy. During normal business hours, by the way.
Here we go.
There we
I'm
go.
getting the
There
links
we
up
go.
here for these guys so they have
There
them.
we go.
All right, cool. All right, so the last matchup of the day, number 2, CSI pool leagues. We're talking BCAPL and USAPL, which is their newer league for lower rated players. They're the number 2 seed. They're coming in strong. They got a big following. They're not quite as big as the APA, but they're growing. And they're facing off against the 15 seed Hal Tips. And I'll let you in on a little secret, Melina. I use a Hal Tip on my queue, and I'm really hitting it good with it the 2 times a year I play.
So it's not the fact they sponsor Josh. Um, you know, as Joey gives a stamp of approval, there it is. Hey Isaac, as a matter of fact, it was I said earlier tonight. I said we should have gotten digital pool to get us a bracket that people can vote on. So if you can, get that done for us, we'd greatly appreciate it because
Yeah,
we have no idea what we're doing.
once the playing games are done, Isaac, we can show you the final 64. Maybe we can get a bracket up on Digital Pool. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, especially one that people can vote on, by the way. So,
Yeah.
by the way, Mike, I don't think you want to know this. I called for Bridge Digest to lose in the first round, so we shall we shall see. Again, we're gonna be posting these links starting tomorrow. We're gonna have Joey. Can you zoom out a little bit?
Yeah.
Starting tomorrow, we're gonna have the South and the East region up to vote first. So we're gonna have those matchups where you guys can go on there and click to see. After those are done, then we're also gonna bring over the Midwest and the West on the following day, and we're gonna keep on pushing forward. We're gonna be having update shows throughout the week as well, talking about who was surprised, who didn't get on, and we're excited. We're gonna make it a real good time. I feel like so.
Yeah,
Like Joey says, it's just for fun.
we're also going to come online and talk about pool too. So we're having fun with the brands. And by the way, like I said before, this is just kind of a fun exercise where we threw out a bunch of brands. Some of them bubbled out, didn't make the cut. If you guys go to the Facebook page where we made the post, just tag them in the bottom and say, "Hey, you forgot this one, you dummies." And we have thick skin; we can handle it. But it is good because some of them that probably should deserve to be here, we might have just overlooked. We can think of 2 or 3 of them right now that after we put it up, we were like, we forgot to say that. Yeah. By the way, how do you pronounce Panozzo? We need to know: is it Mucci or Mucci? So let us know, one or two.
I had the best line ever in that Facebook post, by the way. I said that the WPA lost to the Aero Rack. So,
That was
in
messed
the
up.
in the debate. So,
And you said
yeah.
that to 2 WPA board members. Well done, Mike. Well done. I'm sure we'll get invited to like one of their shindigs now.
Well, we'll have him on the show gladly.
All right,
So,
Mike. We just saw the whole bracket. We went through the whole bracket. I want to know a sleeper pick. I want to know somebody that's ranked 9 through 16 that has a chance to make the final four. Talk to me.
hmm. I mean, maybe Dom's group. If he can get those numbers pumping, they may have a chance to pull off some upsets. A town.
Meucci.
Oh no. Talk about a 9 seed and over, huh? Let me see here. 9 seed and over. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. I feel like
It
maybe
is.
like a Divinity in an 8 spot may have a chance if they can get some votes in as well. Who knows, man? Dogging it may surprise the world, although I don't think they will. Um, Dr. Dave at number 11. You never know.
I could
Yeah.
see Onboard making a run. I could see who is this? Where is it? 3 seconds. I could see them making a run. We know they got a cupcake in the first round.
Yeah, 3 seconds has got like a layup for sure in that first run against Billiards Digest. Who knows, man? Hey, listen, cue it up may make a run as well. You never know.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we shall see starting tomorrow. So again, keep the notifications on the Facebook pages. The playing games are going to end in about um 12 minutes from now. So
yeah.
get your votes in. I'm going to be posting who won on the Windows Open page as well, so you guys can take a look after those first four. And then if Isaac is serious, which I pray that he is, that he can get us a bracket that we can actually follow that's easy to on the eyes. Then we'll be posting that as well.
I
So
told you how painstaking it was to build this bracket. It was crazy. But just to kind of fill folks in who just tuned in, Mike, I just want to let them know we built this bracket. It's the Battle of the Pool Brands. It's for fun. Don't get all uptight about it. Okay. But we're going to be giving you guys a chance to vote on each round right now for the next 12 minutes. You can go to that link that I just posted in there and you can vote on the 4 play-in games. And then tomorrow we'll have 2 sides of the bracket up, actually the South and the East region. And then the next day we'll go with the Midwest and the West. And then we'll try to time it. Maybe we try to time it, Mike, with the actual real NCAA tournament. We'll see. But we're going to play all the way down till we have a champion, the brand that wins it all. And so that should be a lot of fun. By the way, if you win it all, if you're the brand that wins it all, you now are sponsoring the Dog and It Show for $2,500. That's what you get when you win it. Okay. So
congratulations.
title
Yeah,
sponsor.
yeah, yeah, for
Just kidding.
sure.
All right. The
Not
Facebook
really.
page is Windows Open. If you go to the Windows Open Facebook page, that's a page that mainly Mike manages. I help out in there a little bit. But guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to get out and vote.